Hi friends! Welcome back to another Redstone episode with me, ThatPsySquatch. Now, if you're anything like me, you've probably found yourself watching an SMP or a Let's Play, where the creator has made just an absolutely insane item shop, and you wonder, how can I do something like that? Well, today we're going to try to figure that out, because I'm sick and tired of making boring old item shops, and I want to make something cool. But not only that, I want to understand how it works. So let's go ahead and jump on into a creative world and get to redstoning. Alright peeps, and here we are in our testing world, and here are the goals for today. First off, the goal is, how do we build an NM multiplier? We also want this machine to process one payment at a time. We want there to be customizable output. I'll explain that a little bit later. And we also want to make this tileable so that we can actually fit it in with existing item filters. For a second, I totally forgot the word I was trying to think of. Also, before I forget, these are all the items that you're going to need for this. At least I believe this is all that we are going to need for this. I'll explain the redstone torches. This is actually what we use to customize the output that we get. And I'll also explain the sea pickle, but let's go ahead and start getting this figured out. So first off, where am I? I'm trying to build over here. First off, let's go ahead and we're going to place down a barrel. This we are going to use as basically our input. So let me just go ahead and put a sign there. And in fact, I may not need any more of the scaffolding anymore. And so now that we have our input defined, one of the first things that we wanted to do is we want to make it so that we only process one payment at a time. So to do that, we're going to have to figure out how to lock this chest. Or this can be a hopper, it could be a chest, it could be a barrel, it could really be anything. But the first thing that we want to do is we want to figure out how to lock this input the moment a payment enters the system. So to do that, let's go ahead and first we'll put down a hopper. And then below that hopper, we are going to do a dropper. I'm actually going to do it out to the side, if I can. If I can. There we go. We're going to place another barrel here. This barrel is going to just indicate, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. That's not what I wanted to do. This barrel is basically going to be where our payment is held. And now that we know where the payment's going to go, we need to figure out how to detect when a payment has entered the system. And then we need to then figure out how to loop a signal back to then lock the input until the payment has finished processing. So that's going to look like, say, for example, put a diamond into the barrel. It's going to go through the hopper and then end up here in the dropper. And from there, we want to be able to detect that. For now, let me go ahead and take that out. So to do that, we are going to need to take a comparator signal out of this dropper. I'm going to try to do everything in a single line because our other goal is we want to make this tileable. So for that, just as a temporary, we're going to place this right here and we'll bring that out. We're going to put an observer facing out. So it's going to send the signal back here towards the dropper. Oh, I'm totally wrong. I'm sorry. I do not have all the items. We also need this bad boy. We need more things. Okay. So we need to do a comparator out of this dropper. So we'll go ahead and we'll add that right there. And then here behind the comparator, we're going to do a wool block. Go ahead and get rid of that placeholder for now. And then we need to do a dropper facing up. And then we need a dropper facing down. And then we're going to want to take a comparator signal out of that top dropper and feed it back into the hopper. And now what this should do is when a diamond enters, it gets picked up by this comparator, which activates this wool block right here. Oh, I totally forgot something. Let's take this back out really fast. Here in this bottom dropper, we are going to need to put an item. This is what our sea pickle is going to be used for. So let's drop that in there. Right here in this bottom dropper. And so now, when a diamond enters the system, it gets detected in the dropper. It activates this dropper, which then should send the pickle up to the top dropper, which then activates this comparator, powering this block, which then locks this hopper. So now if we wanted to, we'll just use these. If If we wanted to put in something else, we can see that the system is locked. Those items are not entering into the hopper beneath, and therefore are also not being processed. Let's go ahead and take these back. So now that we have that part of the system figured out, we need to activate this dropper so that the diamond gets sent out of it into our payment, our vault, our bank, whatever we want to call it. And so to do that, I believe all we actually need is a block underneath this bottom dropper and then a hopper. And the reason why we want to use a hopper is this should only have one state up in the top left corner. You can see enabled true. So when this has power running into it, the hopper should be false, which we should see, yep, right up here, this one, because the power has activated this block. So now the hopper is disabled. And what we can do is we can use that for this observer to detect it. And then if we have if we just have another block, I'm going to use a piston because we're going to need that for the rest of the system. But now with that, let's go ahead and take out, whoops. Let's go ahead and take out the item. I also need to reset this for right now, and we'll work on that part of the system next. But now, when a payment enters the system, we should see it go all the way in. And then because it activated this dropper, which then sent a signal back along this way, that then causes this dropper to get activated again, which then sends our diamond into the payment system. So now, theoretically, the first payment is being processed while everything else, just for example, everything else still just stays in this input. And so now next we need to figure out how to reset the system. But before we do that, we're actually going to also move along into the NM multiplier, which basically means we are taking an input and we want to times or multiply that input by a certain number of bits. And then that will then equal the output that we get. And so the best way to think of this is like, say you want to pay 1 diamond, but you want to get 64 items for the purchase. Well, that's basically exactly what we're trying to do with this system. So before we start moving into the processing, let's go ahead and set up what we need to reset this so that when the system is done, the C-pickle here gets sent back down to the bottom and resets everything for the next processing to take place. To do that, we are going to need, let's see, we're going to do temporary block. We'll do another wool block here out the back. And then this is going to have another comparator signal facing out the back. Looking at that, we're going to have an observer. That observer is going to be facing into a piston. And then on top of that, we want to send another signal back into this block, which will then activate this top dropper and send the C-pickle back down into the bottom dropper. So to do that, we'll place an observer looking out. So we'll send a signal backwards. I'm actually not sure if I can demonstrate this. I can't demonstrate it yet. That's perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and just reset the system. We're going to put you back here in this bottom dropper. Let's go ahead and also label this. This is just our random item. Excellent. All right, gang. So now we should be ready to start working on the actual processing, which turns the payment into what the user is buying. In this case, well, I mean, it could be anything, but we're using gold ingots for this example. Actually, I guess we're not using anything yet because we haven't even gotten that far. But to work on the processing, next what we need to do, let's go ahead and set up what we need for the customizable output. This is basically what we're going to use to actually change how many items get returned to the player. And to do that, we are going to need to do a dropper facing up. We'll place that guy right there. And now this is where we customize our output. So let me go ahead and label that. Now, to explain this output, or the way that this system multiplies the inputs, let's go ahead and I'll just put a sign down here. If this dropper contained 2 items, that should dispense out 8 items to the player. If it contains 5 items, we would get 16 back. If it contains 13, we should get 32 items back. And if it contains 29, we should get 64 items back, which is why we have, or had, 29 torches in our inventory. Where did I put those? There they are. So if we put those torches right here into our custom output, this is going to be what we use to determine how, when a payment comes into the system, the user will get 64 items returned back to them. So next up, what we need to do is basically we need to figure out how to activate this timer so that we can start dispensing items. And we also need a dropper that actually contains the items that we are dispensing. So let me see how I want to do that. Right here, we are gonna, actually, nope, that's gonna be a little confusing. You know what, we'll just work our way down. So this dropper, or this piston, gets activated when an item enters this dropper. And so we're going to use that to start a clock, which will basically continue running until all of these items have been sent up into the hopper above, which should then activate this block, which will then activate this comparator, which will then activate this sequence of events, which should then return the sea pickle from this top dropper back down into this one. So this is what we're going to use to reset our system as well. So to do this, to activate what we have over here, we'll grab this target block. We're going to place this right here. And then we are going to have an observer facing down. On top of this observer, we're going to have another comparator. And that way we are reading a signal out of this. And then below this observer, let's go ahead and place a fence gate for right now. When that is activated, we're going to need to send a signal back towards here. So if we do observer facing the gate, another observer facing that observer's butt, that'll be perfect. And then this is going to go into one more piston, which should be directly under this piston. Perfect. And then to activate this target block, which will then start sending these items from the dropper up into the hopper, we are going to need another observer facing out. So its butt is against the target block. We don't want anything here. Let's put a temporary block for right now. We want another observer facing right here into the piston. And then this is then going to be into a dropper. And this dropper is going to define our output. So this is what gets sent back to the player after the system is done running. And then now the last thing that we should need is if we place an observer facing that way. So now what should happen is when a diamond enters this dropper, this gets powered, sending the sea pickle up here into this top dropper, which then locks the system from accepting any more payments. At the same time, that has then also activated this block, which then sends a signal back towards this piston, which is going to push this observer down. These two observers are going to do a little kissy kissy. That is going to cause a spamming of pulses, which is going to send our 29 torches back up into the hopper. And also, it's going to be dispensing out all of our items, which let's go ahead and grab just some temporary items. Place these right here. We'll go ahead and we'll fill this bad boy up. And then if I've set this up correctly, once all of these 29 items get sent up into the hopper, it reactivates this comparator, which will then toggle this setup up here, which should cause everything to reset. And then it will also turn off this comparator, allowing all of these items, or I guess at that point, all the torches are up here in the hopper. And it's going to then allow all those items to start dropping back down into the dropper, which when that happens, it's going to reactivate this comparator, which will then reactivate this observer, sending a signal back through here, which will then, this guy will be down here. It'll activate this piston and push it back up, which will then cease and turn off the entire system, making it ready for the next payment. So theoretically, we should have everything already functioning. Okay, so I think we're in a good spot to try this out. Right now we just have it set up for 29, so we should get 64 items. So if we're just going to put in 1 diamond. We put in 1 diamond. It gets sent through the system. We see that everything gets activated and now starts spitting out all of these gold ingots. And I do want to make sure that we get the appropriate amount. So let me clear up my inventory. And eventually here, unless if I did something completely wrong. Hold on, did I forget something? You're still up in there. Did I put you the wrong direction? No? Oh, I did put you the wrong direction. Okay, all right, my bad. Stop, turn everything off. We need... Give me back you. There, that works. Okay, hold on, be patient. I screwed up. So what we need to do, this guy, oh, that sounded like that reset. No, it did not. Okay, so C-Pickle out, C-Pickle back into the bottom one. Let's reset you, put you right back there. This guy we need to break. And then face an observer upward. And we'll grab another comparator, put that back. There we go. Okay. And now, okay, let me do just a quick sanity check. Our random item is in the appropriate dropper. This guy has nothing. Perfect. Our customized output has 29 torches in the dropper. That's good. And then we have all of our items in our output. We flipped that observer to be facing the other direction. Okay, so now let's go ahead and give this another shot. We'll place in 1 item. Everything gets activated. We should see the torches moving out of the dropper right here. And then, excellent, we see that reset. And then I think these are draining. Awesome. And then once this hits 0, that resets. But I'm using the wrong type of piston, apparently. The things we learn when we test out our systems, peeps. Okay. Now let's also double check to see if that's 64 ingots. It is 64 ingots. For a second, I thought we totally screwed up again. Okay. So now 29 items back in the bottom. You did not. Oh, that's right. Did not get sent back down because we had the wrong piston. Let's go ahead and give this a shot again. For sanity's sake, let's go ahead and reduce this down to 5. Everything is reset. Okay, good. Let's put you back in there. So now we should only get 16 items out, but basically I want to do multiple payments at once so we can showcase that it only processes 1 payment at a time. And then we can also make sure that that's actually working how it should be working. So let's go ahead and fly up here. You know what? Let's put in 5. 5 diamonds into the system. Oh, it's still going. Okay, I think that was actually 18. That's fine. We'll do calculations here at the end. But now, as you can see, it processes 1 payment at a time, and then once it's done dispensing out those items, the system resets, then allows another diamond to enter the system. In fact, we should be able to just watch it right here, come in and out. Unless if that was the last one. Of course, that was the last one. So we have our 5 diamonds in the system. What is 5 times 16, people? Is that wasn't the right thing to do. Hold on. This, and if we do 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, perfect. Peeps, it works. It works beautifully. I love it. All right, peeps, we're almost done. Let's take a look at what our goals were. So first, how to build a multiplier. Think we got that covered. Process one payment at a time. Got that covered. Customizable output. Done. All we have left is to make tileable. Now, I've already gone ahead and I've set up a second one right next to it. And upon looking at this, fundamentally, I think it will all work. But when I see this right here, these two droppers right next to each other, I am almost certain that this is going to trigger each one of them if I just put a payment into one. But I think I know what we have to do to fix that. But let's just go ahead and test my theory. We'll just put one diamond into one. Yep, it's triggering both of them. Exactly what I thought. So let me go ahead and grab all these. It should still be 64 each. Except for we got a 65. Dang it. All right, well, forget it. We're changing it anyways. So let's go ahead. To fix this from double firing, I actually think all we have to do is just pull one of these dispensers forward. So if we do one more observer, one more dropper, let's go ahead and fill this back up. I'll get rid of all the extra inventory. Okay, and now let's go ahead and give that a shot again. If I just put in one diamond in one of the systems, hopefully we just see that one system trigger. Excellent. Okay, that's one step in the right direction. I love to see it. Let's go ahead and make sure the other one also works. We'll just give that a second to actually finish off its system. Let's go ahead and sanity check. 64. Excellent. And then if we put in one diamond into the other system, we'll make sure that this dispenses out all the expected items. Hopefully not an extra one. I really hope not an extra one. That seemed like that could have been an extra one, huh? Nope. 64. Okay. Weird. I don't know why that first time messed up. Now let's grab 2 more diamonds. All right, and then for the final test, let's do one in each system. Hopefully we still get 64 out of both. So that guy right there, that guy right there. And we'll let this go all the way through. Please, please be right. Please be 64. Oh, I will blow everything up if it's wrong. 64. Perfect. Oh my god, peeps, we've done it. It works. And it's tileable. Let's get, boom, done. And with that, friends, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a day. I've had an absolute blast. I hope you all love the Redstone machine. I hope it works for you. As a general reminder, this is Java edition. But anyways, peeps, I love you to death. I hope you all have a great rest of your weekend. And I will see ya in the next episode. Laters!